The real best revenge is sitting across the dinner table from your enemies and letting them think they've already won. Frank Coloulton looked like a man no one would notice. His flannel shirt was worn at the elbows. His boots were old. Outside, his beat up 2006 Tacoma sat quietly in the parking lot. On his wrist, a simple Casio watch. No one at the restaurant knew he owned a company with 4,000 employees across 14 states. No one knew what he had built. Or why he built it. Frank liked it that way. After everything that happened years ago, he learned something simple: power safest when hidden. Even the exoskeleton system he had funded, then secretly developed, something that could turn a man into something stronger, faster, was locked away unused, a reminder of who he used to be and what he refused to become again. Then his daughter Lacey brought someone home. Clayton held. Clean Sue, perfect smile, the kind of man who had never been told no. Frank didn't argue. He didn't warn her. He simply watched. Then he did something no one would expect. He made Clayton the CEO of his own company. And never told him who he really was. I never sit down at a table I haven't already flipped. Frank said it calmly, just before the envelope touched the table. It was thick, cream colored, heavy, with meaning. Stuart Hale, Clayton's father, placed it down like a weapon. Inside were documents, old records, stories about Victor Marsh. Stuart leaned forward. You will resign, and you will pay what you owe. Clayton didn't move. He stared at his plate, silent. The room felt smaller. Frank didn't touch the envelopes inside. Victor Marsh had been his business partner back in 1987. They built something together, or at least Frank thought they did. But Victor had been stealing, moving money quietly, copying client list. Then one day he disappeared and started his own company. Frank gave him a choice back then: face the law or walk away. Victor walked away. And spent the rest of his life telling people he was the victim. Now Stuart was repeating that story. Trying to make it real. Frank finally placed his hand on the envelope. But he didn't open it. He didn't need to.
Frank reached into his jacket and pulled out his own envelope. White, clean prices. I was wondering when this would come back, he said. He opened it slowly. Inside were original bank records, wire transfer, signed document, even a witness affidavit from someone who had worked with Victor. Frank placed each paper on the table one by one. No rush, no emotion. Your brothers did not lose anything, Frank said coldly. He took what was not his. Stuart's face tightened. Frank pointed to a document shell company, fake signature, stolen, contact. Then he leaned back slightly. What you bought me? Frank taped the cream envelope as a photograph of a weapon. Silence. And I bought the weapon. Clayton finally looked up. His eyes moved between the papers, then to his father. Something did not add up. You knew. Clayton asked. Stuart said nothing. That was enough. Clayton stood up, his chair scraping the floor. You knew who he was, and still pushed me into this. His voice was not loud, but it broke something in the room. I won't be part of this, Clayton said, and just like that, he chose to our blood. Frank watched quietly. This was the moment that mattered. Some men build empires to prove something. Frank Coloulton builds his to protect something. Theirs is a different. The tension was gone. Now, Stott had already left, his envelope empty, his story broken. Frank and Clayton sat across from each other again. This time, no lies between them. There's something you should know, Frank said. Clayton nodded, still processing everything. You have been running my company for the last 14 months. Clayton blinked. What? Frank gave me a small smile. Colton Mush Industries, it's mine. The words landed slowly. Everything Clayton thought he knew shifted. I needed to know who you were. Frank continued, not as a CEO. A man standing next to my daughter. Clayton said, big stand. You saved the company 4.3 million, Frank added. They told me enough. For the first time, Clayton smiled. Now the polished one, a real one. Desert arrived lava cake. They shared it talking like two men who finally understood each other. Frank phone buzzed. A message from Lacey. You are impossible and she loves you. Frank chuckled. Later, he drove home in his old truck. Flannel shut quiet throat. Everything he built, everything had in peace. Even the exoskeleton locked away. It was never about revenge. It was about her, and it always had been.